Welcome everybody, it's great to have you here today. We're looking at Trechoro and our SysML2 example once again. And today we're going to be looking at the structural view of actions within Trechoro. My name's Scott Hebbard from Sparx Systems, and I'm joined today by Stephen Maguire that's going to step us through this process. Welcome Stephen, how are you today?
Very well, thank you, Scott. Yeah, let's get started. So we're looking at our welcome to Trechoro modeling capability. So this is a model that comes shipped with the preview version of Trechoro, Enterprise Architect Trechoro, and it is a model to assist people who are new to both Trechoro and to SysML2 to get started with the tool. There are some, some learning curves there, Scott, but let's try and make this a little bit simple. Let's see if we can just jump over some of these things that are confronting when you start learning a new tool in a new language. So what I'm going to do is look at this model here. I've got some example diagrams here, Scott. Now these have come out of the SysML spec, so we're replicating what was in the spec, and we thought that was a good idea because people who read the spec, they'll be able to see it. So what we're going to look at first is the this action one here, the action provider. I'm going to move that up in the browser. Actually, there I'm just using the toolbar icon there to move the element up within the package, within the SysML package. So let's have a look at what that diagram looks like. And the reason why we're calling this a structural view is because even though an action is really a behavioral type of element, it does participate in a structural view. And so what we've got here, what we're demonstrating is the action provide power, which has, it's made up, I guess, it's comprised of a number of other action defs, which are the generate torque, the amplify the torque, the transfer the torque, and then the distribute the torque. So what's happening here is that we have a number of action defs on here, so action definitions, and I put that at the top and the bottom, and then in the middle layer there we've got the usages. So here we've got the provide power usage. If you look over to the properties, that's an action usage, whereas if I click on this one, it's an action definition. So that's what's going on there, Scott. And these ones here, if we look at this relationship, we'll see that's a feature membership relationship there. And let's look at that. And these ones again are usages as well. So, but they're based on, and this is the whole point of this definition and usage paradigm, is the concept of reuse, that you can define the things, all sorts of things, and remember lots of, I call it things in SysML, lots of element types are follow that pattern. So, the definition and the usage pattern. So you've got, items and attributes and references and use cases and, all the, validation cases, all of that kind of thing. So that's what's happening. And you can see the other thing that's interesting about this diagram is the fact that we have these parameters on the side of these actions. So we've only put them on at the action def level. They are actually by the inheritance that you gain from using this feature, this feature typing relationship here. So this is a feature typing relationship. Remember, these ones are feature membership, and this one here with the little dot under the triangle are feature typing. So by virtue of that fact, we are going to get those parameters as well. But let me just show you why the parameters are important and how we'll use them. And we'll leave the concept of the vehicle and I guess the transmission of the torque from the engine right through to the wheels, and that's what's going on in this diagram. So for those people that are interested in automotive, most engineers will know quite a bit about automotive, and so we won't worry about covering that. Let's have a look at where we're going with this diagram. So in the next video, not this video, but we'll just have a brief look, we're going to cover how to create this behavioral diagram, which is the provide power action, and follow it all the way through from this fuel command through the generate torque. So that's the first point that torque's generated. We amplify the torque, and then we transfer the torque through the transmission, and we distribute the torque, and finally it ends up here, the wheel to road torque. So, we've gone the whole cycle. In the specification, Scott, they don't do the entire diagram. They, I think it's a simple question that it wouldn't fit onto, what might just a standard document page. And so they ended it kind of about here, I think, but it's important to carry that through. We're not going to concentrate on this action flow diagram here today. We'll do that in the next video. So if you're watching this video, we'll have them both done at the same time, then you can go and follow up with that other video. So what we're going to do, Scott, is we're going to make a start now, and we're going to create this diagram ourselves. So I'm going to bring on another repository because I finished it in this one. So let me just drag another repository onto the my screen. Might be a tick while I'm just reorganizing some screens here. There, and I'll drag that one on there, and I'll move this one off there, and I'll put this one back into full screen mode there. And so let's make a start here, Scott. So the first thing we need to do is think about, we want to create some elements. So there are some elements that we have created in previous videos in this, and so I'm not going to bother recreating those. But one of the things that we've got there, and I've just tucked my toolbox away, so I need to bring that back out again. I always need my features window when I'm doing this kind of work. So we've got our action definitions, and so we would want to create that. Let me just go and look at our location, look at our element there. I'm just in the other model, just looking through to get to the definitions. So I think the first thing that we needed to do was to create an element, some action elements. So these are action definitions. So let's do that by changing our toolbox here into SysML2, and we can see that there. Now, in a previous video, when we were talking about toolboxes, we talked about the fact that you can just simply type in here and search, and you get our action definition coming up straight away. I can click that one in there and drop it on there. And in some, this is a preview version, and in some usages we can do that. So I'll have to look at what's going on with that. I think at the moment it's not implemented, but we should be able to do that. It wants it on a diagram. So let's go ahead now and create a model view here, and we'll call it the action provide power. So we'll create another view under here, and we'll just do that, diagram there, and we'll call it action provide power view. So, and the view usage, let's do a standard general view for that one for the moment. And we've got our diagram there now. And let's move that up in the browser using the browser toolbar there, Scott. And I can move it up to the top underneath those packages. So that diagram's open there. Let's grab our usage again, the action one. So we want just go back into this now and type in action. So we want the action definition. So we'll drag one of those on there, give it a name, generate torque. We've got that. We want to get the next one, which is amplify torque. And we'll just get another one of those and drop them onto the screen as well. And torque, and then transfer torque. We won't do all of this, Scott. We'll just do a bit of it, and we'll otherwise it'll get a bit repetitive. But let's do that, and we'll leave those ones there for the moment. And let's now put our provide power action def on this screen here as well. So I'm just going to grab that from the project browser there, drop that on as a link. Put that as a link. That's there. And let's expose some, well, actually, let's do a couple of other things first. What we want to do is I'll put these ones down here further, and we might just concentrate on the generate and the amplify torque. I think we need both of those ones there. I'm just going to leave those there for the moment. Now, what we want to do is to put an action usage on here, which is again the provide power. So we'll call it just provide power. So we want an action usage, and we'll drop that on the screen, and we'll call that provide power. and let's make that a bit smaller, and line that up using the alignment tool there with those yellow things. Let's put this on here, and we need it to be a feature typing relationship. Remember, this is the one with the two dots there. Now we want to create the same thing for these ones here as well. So we've got our definitions kind of, it's like a sandwich, Scott, where we've got the definitions on as the outer layer of the bread, and then we put some things in the middle. So what we want is this generate torque as an action. Now the best way to do that, I could have done it with this provide power one as well, is showing you a couple of different ways. I can locate that generate torque by selecting the locating icon in the toolbar there, and I can say generate torque. I'm going to drag that on, and this time, instead of saying drop as a link, I'm going to drop as a usage. And so what will happen is that you will get that relationship automatically. And so I wanted to show you both ways. You can do it manually by creating it, or you can do that. I'm going to expand this one out. I want that to be shown there. Put that one underneath, and I'll do the same thing for the amplify torque. I should be able to find that quite easily, right? There it is there.
Yep.
Drag that one on as well, and this one's going to be a usage, and we'll say that's fine with that one as well. Using the facilities of the tool, the layout ribbon, I'm going to go to the layout ribbon, and from the alignment panel, make same height and width, and align their tops. And I can do the same thing with this one here. So with that there, again, I might want to just move these things down a little bit, multi-select them, just lasso them all there. And I'm going to choose this one here, and I want to have a relationship in here, which is the feature membership. So I'm going to use my quick linker, drag that up, and feature membership of is the one that I want. So that's putting the diamond at that end there, and I'll do the same with this one, feature membership of. And we won't do the other ones. There's enough there for us to kind of see what's happening. So what the other thing that we need to do, Scott, is we need to, and I'll just move these over so we've got a little bit better alignment there. We need to look at the parameters, or the things that we saw, the little boxes that we saw on the side of these elements.
Yes.
Now, if we go into this provide power one, right mouse click compartment visibility, and what we might want to do is look for parameters there, and let's go okay to that. And you can see these, we haven't defined these. These were there from some previous work that we did. So the parameters are there. That's all kind of nice. Now, I might want to see them as well on the diagram. We had them before as little, little ports or little actions on the side, the parameters on the side there. And what we can do is we can look at this, and we've got two different things going on in here with these parameters. One of them is an item. So the power command coming in is actually an item. We can click on that, right mouse click, and say add to diagram. When we click into the diagram, you can see now that we've got the parameter. And one thing to be aware of, Scott, you must define, you want this to show up, you must define the direction this is in, and you can see that from here. The direction is in, out, or nothing, or in, out, or out. And so this is an in one. Now the other one is not an item, but it's a reference. And so we can look at references there, and we can say this is the wheel to road torque. So we'll add that to the diagram as well. And we've got that one there. And with these labels, Scott, very simple. I can just click on that side of that there, and make it a bit in a couple of different rows there. I can also go text alignment, and I'll just go left aligned there so it looks a bit neater. This one here, I can again do the same thing and go right aligned if I wanted to. That's not going to much matter there. So we've got these elements now. Now we don't have in our elements here, we don't have any of our parameters because we just created these. So let's have a look at putting these in. So let's go and look at, I think we need to look at item first. Let me just check that. Yeah, that's right. So what we can do is use our features window there. And again, I'll probably make these the same size. So select those there. I'll probably actually multi-select the whole lot of those ones there and make them the same width as that one there. So I'll just say same width there, and I'll align these guys up. So the diagram is there. I like to keep things neat as I'm working, Scott, because it's very easy to get confused when you're working with a new language and things. Now let's look at this. We're going to go in here, and the important thing here, Scott, is that this little features window has got this drop down, and it's got a whole lot of different different types of features. One of them is the item. I'm going to put that in there. So I'll put that in, and what I want to do is say I want to type that by something, and what I want to type it by is the fuel command. So if I just bring that up, and it's just come onto another window, let me just find where that has come up. Patterns. Might just leave that just for a minute while I find Apple projects. No, there we go. Definitions, item definitions. Yeah, so I'll just bring that onto that screen. Was on another screen. So I'm again looking at this item definitions here. We've got a power command there. That's the type that I want. So it's an item definition, and that types that by that. The other thing we want to do, Scott, is to put in the torque value, and that's going to be a reference there, and so we'll put that in, and we'll now move this down to the references. So we're kind of moving things around here, and we'll put this one in, and we want to look now for the typing again, and this time we need to look for it in our this one here. So we're going to be looking at the ISQ mechanics there, Scott. So let's just bring that up and say, look, we want that. That's again, it's a typing. It's not a subsetting thing. It's a scalar quantity. We want to go to our libraries, and we want to go to SysML, and we'll wait for that to generate out. I think, yeah, ISQ mechanics. Lots of different, different things in here, but we want the torque value there. So I'll go OK to that. So we've put those in. So that's all done. Now we can expose those on this diagram. We can go again, compartment visibility, and let's put in parameters and see what happens. And nothing comes up now, Scott. Now, this is an interesting thing as part of the tool. As I said before, you have to define these things. So let's go in here and look at the first thing that we put in was this item. And that is going to have a direction of in as a parameter. So when we go to direction, it's got none at the moment. So let's go in there. Yeah. And you see that immediately pops up now in the parameter. So that's the thing. If it's not a parameter until you've told it that it's going to be coming in or out or in out of the into the element. So we can go references. Well, this one's an out one. So again, let's select out there.
So do they just default as none?
They default to none because it's just a reference until I tell it that that it's got a direction, and that makes it into a parameter. So if I put in if I just had the compartment visibility as reference or item, then they would have shown up there.
Yeah. Right.
But look, that's and again now when I want to, again, I'll just multi-select everything, move them over a little bit. Now I just do exactly the same thing. Let's go here and say that this engine torque, we want to add it to the diagram, and then that one comes onto the diagram, and there's our value there, and we'll put that in. We probably need to move this stuff over a little bit. So a little bit of reorganizing, but the tool's very, very flexible, Scott, and just being able to quickly lasso a couple of things. Again, we're going to look at this other parameter. Remember, that was an item parameter, and there we have it, because remember, items are things that can flow through a system, and when we're looking at this thing, like fuel can flow through a system, gas can flow through a system, electrical current can flow through. A command that's being sent from something is like a current, like an electrical impulse actually, and so that can flow through as well. Let's put that one on that fuel command, and we'll add that to the diagram as well. Click there and it comes up. Again, just do that. So look, that's what I wanted to show you. These things here, Scott, are the actions themselves, which are action usages. If we look at what's going on with those, this has got a feature typing relationship between the action def and the action usage. And it's just called action there rather than action usage. That's part of the specification. Let's make those the same width as well and align their centers. But let's have a look now and see what's going on here. So there's an item and a reference inside the action def, but it's not inside here. So what we need to do is click this little tiny icon next to it, and you can see now that that provide power command is now showing, and it's like an inherited feature. So what I can do is select that and go expose inherited usage, and then it pops up onto this element here. And so that's the power command. And so we're reusing what we defined in that provide power, and we could do it for all sorts of different vehicle types. Maybe there's a hovercraft that we're defining as well. It could be a drone. It could be anything. So we can reuse that there if we wanted to, and that's another kind of a whole skill, an engineering skill in itself. How do we model for reuse? But let's do the same thing for this one here. So that's the provide power one. Remember, the other one was a reference, and so we go into here, select that reference, and say expose into the diagram there, and we get this one here as well. And I'll just that was the one that was out, and that's really good the way that that's happening there. And I'll just show you why I really love this tool. It's just so flexible and easy to work with. So what I can do now is just make sure these align. You can see the alignment things are showing me exactly how that's aligned up, and I can do the same thing with these ones. And look, vertically, horizontally, it's just
does all the hard work for you.
It's a treat to use. People comment on how give me compliments about my diagram. It's not really me that's creating a very neat and tidy diagram. It's the tool that's doing the work for me. So Scott, I'm not going to continue that through. We looked at the other one, and I'm going to drag that back on that finished diagram so you can see that again onto this one here. So this was a different repository, but there's the diagram again. Tuck a few things away there, tuck the toolbox away, move this over. I could go into my portals wide view. I might just do that momentarily. And that will give me the diagram. So I just using the portals window there, Scott, core feature there. I can just say I want a wide view, and suddenly, all of the sort of the sideshows, I call them the sideshows going on around are all hidden away. And you can see now that, this diagram is in full display. So I haven't exposed on this diagram, I haven't exposed the action usage parameters, but remember they are inherited from that. So I could easily do that if I wanted to. Look, that's it for this demonstration, Scott. But I do want to remind people that where we're going with this, and let's go back into default, and where we're going with this is this next view, which was the behavioral view, if you like, of how these things are all connected together, right? So, that's how we're going to connect them. And you can see why the parameters are important now, because they're allowing us to flow a command all the way through and generate torque, and then, connect that torque up through an amplifier and through the torque, this torque transfer here, and then finally into distribute the torque into the wheel to road torque interface. So anyway, look, Scott, that's it for that thing. Please stay tuned for the next video, which will be creating this action flow diagram.
Very good, thanks, Stephen. Look forward to that next video in the series, and it's been great to get a good structural view of actions in Trechoro as always. It's been very informative to our audience today. We encourage you to have a look at some of those other videos on the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. And if you have any questions about System L2 or Trechoro, you can reach out to Stephen via the LinkedIn and website credentials that are listed in the video description below. Thank you, Stephen, for showing us how we can easily build up a structural view of actions, and look forward to future videos on this topic.
Always a pleasure, Scott.